Today, I'm going to help you fall in love with marketing and we're going to make it way more fun. For many years, marketing felt really exhausting to me. I was constantly trying to optimize every single piece of content and I was focused way too much on the rules that everyone had created for me. And honestly, I kind of hated it. I was good at it, but I didn't really enjoy it. But then I discovered a completely different approach that really made marketing become the part of my business that I actually look forward to the most. It made it so much more fun and enjoyable. So in this video, I'm going to show you my brand world model and how world building as marketing can become so much more fun. And I'm going to just show you what made me fall back in love with marketing, and I think that it might do the same for you. So we've been talking in the last few videos, I've kind of been doing a series about this idea that the customer buying journey has completely changed over the last couple of years. It's non-linear now instead of linear, and I've kind of been talking about why releasing control of the results of the numbers actually makes it easier for people to buy from you. But when I first started learning about this concept, I remember thinking, okay, like that, I guess that kind of makes sense, but what does it actually look like to create a nonlinear buying journey and to stop measuring and optimizing for all of these numbers and conversions? So like if I'm not funneling people, if I'm not, optimizing for conversion rates, how do I structure my marketing and what am I looking for? And that's when I really started focusing on world building, and it completely changed the way that I think about marketing. And it honestly made me really excited about it again for the first time in years, because world building gives you a framework for creating marketing that works with how people actually want to buy instead of working against how people want to buy. So instead of trying to force people to do something and force them into a certain behavior, we're working with the behavior that they already have. So let me show you what world building, or what I call creating a brand world, actually is and how it's structured. So this is my personal model for world building that I've created. Other people might have different approaches to world building out there, but this is mine. So let me walk you through my brand world model. So your brand world consists of three parts. So here we have the world, okay? So at the very center, this is your world, and at the very center, we have your inner world, okay? So this inner world is going to be your email list and your customer base. So these are your most involved, committed, engaged people, and this is where relationships are really cultivated and deepened, and where trust starts to convert to sales naturally. So the sales kind of become a byproduct of the relationships that you're building. And then surrounding that inner world, you have your outer world. So this is going to be your content assets. So these are things that you own and control, like your website, a podcast. I also qualify YouTube videos in here, blog posts, a book. So these establish what I call landmarks that people can navigate and explore throughout your world. So here we'll put some landmarks throughout our outer world. And so this is where your brand, your values, your worldview, and your storytelling all really live and come to life in your world. And then outside of the world, you have what I call distribution hubs. So let's draw some distribution hubs here. And these distribution hubs are third-party platforms like Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, other people's podcasts, right? That you do not own and you do not control. But these are where you reach new people and invite them into your world. So it's a distribution hub, right? It's where you can put the word out there about what you do and who you are and invite people in. So the journey for someone entering your world looks like this. So people will discover you in a distribution hub. They will enter your world and start exploring, okay, all of your landmarks. And then they will come into your inner world where they might join your email list or become a customer. And then all different people, everyone who comes into your world is kind of have a different non-linear buying journey until they maybe or hopefully become a client who stays and refers and advocates for you and for your brand. So we have all different types of non-linear buying journeys that can happen in this world, but for the most part, people are going to come in through a distribution hub explore around a little bit, and then hopefully, if they are a good fit, they will come into our inner world. So, the key to really making this work is understanding the difference between push marketing and pull marketing. So, push marketing is what we see everywhere online. It's this direct response marketing. It's literally called push marketing. I did not make that up. And so it's basically where you're trying to create desire where desire does not already exist. So what happens is you end up trying to convince people that they need something or agitate a problem, and you have to use a lot of pressure or a lot of urgency to push people towards a decision. Okay, so if we have a person out here in a distribution hub, push marketing is essentially trying to push them across the threshold into our world, right? But pull marketing is the opposite of that. So pull marketing is going to speak to people who already either want what you offer, they're already seeking a solution that you have for them, or they are aligned with your worldview, right? So they are already seeking something for a pain that exists in their life, and you're not trying to create a desire in them or like manufacture fake urgency to get them to move. We want to talk to people who already care, who are, already have this thing on their mind, and we are just helping them see that your approach is the better path forward for them than other approaches. So when you use pull marketing to bring people into your world, you're attracting people from this magnetic center. People are being pulled in, right? You're attracting people who are already interested, they're already aligned, and they're already moving in our direction, and we can kind of just help capture the demand that already exists and offer them something that is a good fit for them. So they just need to find you and understand why your specific way of getting them there is the right fit for them. And that's the information that we provide throughout our world in these landmarks that we create. So the question becomes, how do we create that pull into our world, right? Like, how do you make sure that the people who enter your world are getting everything that they need to understand that you're the right fit for them? What do we put in these landmarks, and what kind of information do we need to offer them so that they can experience this nonlinear buying journey and really come to understand that they're a good fit? So I have this framework, I call it the 3 layers of resonance. And so this is where those 3 layers of resonance come into the world. So these 3 layers are everything that people need to hear from you in order to decide whether or not to purchase. And if you can align with people on all 3 layers and create resonance across all 3 of these layers, people will either be ready to move forward or they will be excited to stick around until they are ready to move forward. So here are the 3 layers. Layer 1 is problem solution resonance. So this is people have a problem and they're seeking a solution and you can help them do it. Okay, so this is the baseline. It's just the very minimum that you need to get someone's attention online, but it's not enough on its own to create resonance with someone, because thousands, if not millions, of other people can solve the same problem as you online, right? Thousands of other people can design a website, thousands of other people can take pictures. So if you only focus your marketing here, you are competing with everyone else who can get people the same outcome. And usually what happens is your main differentiator is going to be price. So who's the cheapest, convenience, who's the easiest, or credibility, like who has the biggest following, because a lot of times people associate having a big following with credibility. And then layer 2 is method resonance. So this is how you get them to that solution or to that desired outcome. So layer 1 is like, yes, I can solve your problem. And then layer 2 is, here's how I solve it for you. So this is going to be your approach, your method, your vehicle is what I call it. So when someone resonates with not only the problem and solution that you can offer, but your method of getting them through that journey, they are not just buying that destination, right? They're not just buying the end result. They are also buying the journey to get to that destination. So they have to agree with how you get them there. And that's what starts to separate you from everyone else and starts to help you be a little bit distinct. But what really helps and what really solidifies the differentiating is the layer 3, which is worldview resonance. So this is going to be how you see the world, what you believe about your industry, what you stand for. And when someone resonates with your worldview and they've also checked the other boxes, they are going to know that they can trust you and that you are going to get them where they need to go in a way that aligns with who they are and what they believe. So they're supporting someone who is aligned with them. So here's what I see happening with a lot of business owners online. They usually camp out in layer 1 or maybe layer 2, which is why marketing starts to feel hard, right? So they have gaps that they need to fill in their messaging. They either focus on the problem that they solve. So for example, like a health coach, maybe they're focusing on losing weight, right? Or they might be focusing on the method that they offer. So for a designer, that's design. For a copywriter, that's copywriting, right? Social media management, things like that. So people are either focusing on the like solution, losing weight, or the method, designing. But focusing on just one or two of these layers doesn't really give your audience enough information to know if you are a good fit for them. And so then, like I said, usually end up having to compete on price, convenience, or credibility. But when you have resonance on all 3 layers, so the problem you solve, the way that you do it, and then who you are while doing it and who you can help them be while doing it, those people are not going to need any sort of pressure tactic or convincing in order to take action. They're already going to be moving towards you because everything about your approach feels like exactly what they've been looking for and hoping for. They just hadn't found someone yet who could offer it to them. So they might not buy immediately. Again, like the goal is not necessarily to get people to buy immediately, but when we create this world for them to be in, even when they're not ready, they are excited to stick around in your world, consuming your content and building trust with you, and maybe even referring other people to you until they are ready to buy. So you no longer feel like you are performing all the time to like over nurture people or win over people in your audience, because you already know that they resonate with you because they've been exposed to all 3 of these layers of resonance throughout your world and all the different landmarks that you're creating, and they are sold on the idea that you are marketing. So they're not just sold on the solution or the offer, they're sold on the idea. So here's how this all comes together in your brand world. So like I said, you're building out a world of assets. So content assets, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, books. And all these assets should communicate these 3 layers of resonance throughout your content. So I want you to think of it like a giant smoothie, okay? So you have all the ingredients that you need. You've got the problem, solution, fit, the method resonance, and the worldview resonance, and then you get to mix and match them in all of your content and all of your little assets that you're creating. So not every piece of content has to have pieces of every layer. Maybe one day you just want a strawberry smoothie and you don't want the whole tropical flavor of everything. So there's no pressure to hit every single layer in every piece of content because your content assets are working together to communicate like one big giant smoothie of information. So some content pieces in your world might be really hyper focused on the problem solution resonance and explaining, what problem you solve and what desired outcome you help people get. Some might dive into your method where you explain, here's how I approach things. Here's how I get you to the desired solution you're seeking. This video right now that I'm doing is a heavy method video because I'm explaining if you have this problem that you don't love marketing, here's how I get you to the desired outcome you're seeking. So this video for me is heavy on method alignment. And then other ones might be literally straight worldview where you're talking about your values, your beliefs, your story, all of that kind of stuff. But because you've created a whole library of assets throughout your world, and they're each communicating, different aspects of these layers in different ways, people get to choose their own path based on what they need to hear at that moment in their journey. Because some people are going to value one of those layers of resonance more than the other. So for some people, your method might be the most important thing, and they don't care as much about who you are and what you value. For other people, the biggest deciding factor for them is going to be who you are and who they're supporting. So everyone gets to kind of take and leave what matters for them at their own pace and in the way that they need it. So for example, someone might discover you on Instagram and see something you posted that resonates with their problem. So they click over to your website, they start reading your blog posts, and then maybe one of your blog posts talks about your method. And they think like, oh, that's interesting. That's a different approach from something I've seen before. Then maybe they click into a YouTube video where you talk about your worldview and why you believe what you believe and why you show up and do things the way you do. I call this your controlling idea. And then suddenly they're like, oh my gosh, yes, this person gets it, right? They get me, they align with me. So not only do they have a way of achieving my problem that's really interesting, but like they are the right person for me. And because they're navigating your world at their own pace and they're exploring these different landmarks and encountering these layers of resonance in whatever order makes sense for them, they are building trust with you naturally in their own way. So they're not being pushed through a funnel, right? They're not like being sent through, you have to get this freebie and you have to get the upsell and all of that. They are just pulling themselves deeper into your world because they want to be there. It's self-led. And so then when they're ready, they may join your email list. They may come into your inner world. And in your inner world, you're continuing to build that relationship. You're continuing to communicate these layers of resonance. And then when you open the doors to your paid offers, or maybe they're evergreen, people will be excited to work with you because they already have all the information that they need from you in order to feel ready to buy. So this is why world building made me fall back in love with marketing, because I was no longer feeling like I had to control everyone's journey anymore, or like force them to care about something that they just simply didn't care about. I was like, oh, this is great. I can just create an environment where people can explore, where they can find what resonates with them, and then they can move at their own pace. And it just feels so much more respectful and ethical to allow people agency over their own interaction with my brand. And because I really focused on communicating all these 3 layers of resonance throughout my world, people were getting everything that they needed to make a confident decision about whether I was the right fit for them. So I'm not like trying to manufacture urgency and being like, doors closed this week just to get people across the finish line, right? I'm just building something that people actually really want to be a part of. And once I started doing this, the feedback that I was receiving from my audience was completely different than any feedback that I had ever received up to that point. So people started replying to my emails more. I started getting more DMs like thanking me for sharing what I was sharing in the way that I share it. And it was just so much more meaningful. And actually I've noticed that my posts in general like get less engagement, direct engagement. Like my likes are a little bit lower, my comments are a little bit lower, but the number of meaningful engagement, conversations, and messages that I receive from people is like drastically higher than what I ever got before, because I'm actually building relationships with people. So this is what pull marketing looks like, right? And this is it's world building. And so this is how you create a business where people are genuinely excited to be a part of what you're building. And then sales are a byproduct of the relationships, or a byproduct of this environment that you've built because you've created resonance on all 3 layers. I like to say that when you focus on relationships instead of focusing on transactions, you usually end up getting both. But when we focus on only transactions, oftentimes we will lose out on many relationships that could be very beneficial for our brand. So that's my brand world model and the 3 layers of resonance. If you want to dive deeper into world building and into what I call cozy marketing and learn how to actually implement this in your business and get my feedback, I have a program called the Cozy Marketing Method. At the time I'm filming this, the Cozy Marketing Method is a 6-month program where you come in, you learn kind of the actual practical steps of this model and of cozy marketing. So we'll nail your messaging, we'll get your 3 layers of resonance locked in, and you'll learn some of my frameworks for implementing. And then I actually have a whole library of templates for evergreen long-form content assets like blogs, email sequences, podcasts, YouTube videos that you can just literally plug all of your messaging into, and they are built already to communicate these 3 layers of resonance throughout your world. So if you spend 6 months with me and you produce 1 long form content asset a week, so it's like 1 blog post a week, 1 podcast video or video a week, then by the end of the 6 months, you're going to have 26 landmarks all throughout your world that's going to communicate these 3 layers of resonance like one big smoothie, and then you get my feedback on all of it. So it's a really fun space. We have some really awesome conversations. So if you want to start applying this in your business and you're interested in beginning to world build and beginning to do cozy marketing that feels better for you and makes you fall in love with marketing in, then I highly recommend checking out my program, The Cozy Marketing Method. If you want just like a little bit of a taste and you want to dip your toes in a little bit without a financial commitment, you can also join my email list. My welcome series for my email list is actually a whole, essentially like a course. It's a whole walkthrough of cozy marketing and my world building model, even deeper than what we talked about in this video. So you can join my email list and you'll automatically receive my email series. So I hope this kind of opens your brain up to a different way to do marketing, because once you understand this model and you start building your marketing with more intention to create relationships, everything about marketing starts to feel so much more exciting. So it stops feeling like you're constantly chasing people, and it starts feeling like you're creating something that people actually want to be a part of.